like, how did you find trades? How did you find line work? Did you have a family member or something, friend in it?
So actually, the way I found it was the town I live in, Peru, Illinois, has a small municipality. They have their own electric department. And growing up, the city has summer help. You know, you can go work, work for the electric department, work for the parks department, work wherever. And my grandpa knew the head of the electric department. Okay. And I kind of knew some guys that worked there, like I went to school with their kids and stuff. I was like, hey, Grandpa, I think I want to work for the electric department. And my he's like, you sure you don't want to go work with the pool with the girls? I was like, no, Grandpa, I think I want to go work at the electric department. So we called the guy, and they hired me when I was 16. You had to have your license. So we would go out as soon as I started there with they did their own tree trimming. And we'd be 16 years old driving a big dump truck with a chipper behind it and doing some chipping and stuff like that. I ended up working there part-time for 2 years, all through high school. I would go in and, clean toilets, paint floors, basic, whatever they needed, answer phones, vacuum. That was my part-time job was going in whenever I had some time off, not playing sports or doing stuff. And after high school, I went to a small community college up here, and there was an opportunity at City of Peru when I was 18. A couple guys left, and they were going to hire somebody, and I was interested in that job. College wasn't for me. I wasn't the best student always. It just wasn't working out. So I had another friend whose dad worked for Illinois Power at the time, or Ameren, Illinois, where I work now. So I went to him. His name's Tom Galandi, and I told him I wanted to get into the trade. I don't know if the City of Peru was the right fit for me to stay in a little town. I wanted to expand. At the time, the City of Peru was not union, and Ameren was union. And Tom, I had a long talk with him. He's like, yeah, we'll see about getting in all of that. I'm like, what's all that?
Yeah, totally.
All right. So Tom was good friends with our local 51 business agent who was from the same area. He's from Oglesby, right outside Starved Rock. So I met with Dominic Rivara, and he talked, and met with him one day behind the big oak desk in the hall, and applied for all that, and ended up getting in right away. Number one on the list. Probably looking back was more some politics involved in it. They weren't union. They were going to get their new guy. We're going to take this guy. I think there was a little union fight going on there for a while, which I wasn't involved in at all. So went to all that when I was 18, and then hit the ground running. You can get a lot of work done in a country road, where in a city environment, when they said, oh, we got 2 days to change this pole on, I'm like, 2 days? It's just like a transformer pole. It's like, oh shit, traffic, cars parked in the way, stuff, they got to hand dig the hole,
like you said,
like
it really depends on the mood too, right? Because sometimes that aspect of urban environment or the city is like pretty interesting, and there's like always kind of something happening, like you got some really unique way you have to position your truck in between the alley of some buildings, and you got strangers and homeless hanging around trying to snag stuff from you, or just like or you got traffic, or you just got like stuff happening all the time, right? Yeah. Even just people watching on the sidewalks and stuff was unique about working in the city. There's always like some really interesting problems to solve in the city versus out in the country. Working on power lines and transmission lines here in British Columbia, obviously a lot of them are on terrain that is like crazy mountainous terrain, right? And so you just think back like some of the places I've had to drag crane trucks and bucket trucks, and like, man, it's wild. You go from like mountain working, then you go to like West Texas or something like that, where it's just flat and straight and all sand, and it's wild.
Yeah. A guy I met was working in Illinois, and we were both journeymen at the time. And he said he had a friend out there, and they were making X amount of dollars. He made X amount of dollars this month. And I'm like, what? I was like, yeah, I could do that for a couple months, make this bank. And that was it. And Gina was cool with it. She's like, yeah, go out. That'd be awesome. Great experience. All right. Went out there like a week later, 2 weeks later, had a job. And rest is history.
You see it quite a bit now. Is it something that you'd still recommend people do?
Yes, absolutely.
It hits different when you have kids. And I was talking to Jason about that, just like with, I told him about my plans to go to Everest Base Camp and how that's kind of been a bucket list thing. Like climbing the tallest mountains in the world was like, that was on my bucket list when I was a kid. And as soon as I had my own kids, it just felt almost like wrong. Like it felt selfish, and nothing against anybody that wants to go and still does climb mountains with, even when they have kids. It just, to me, it felt like if I was going to travel the world and go try to climb one of the tallest mountains in the world and end up dying on that mountain, it just to me felt kind of super selfish. And like I have responsibilities now to these kids to be try to be here as much as I can, but then also to try to live my life. So anyway, I settled on base camp instead of the top of Everest. So
yeah, you got to have balance, man.
Tell me what a person can expect when going on a hurricane, and then kind of like a couple things to watch out for when they're working a hurricane.
So honestly, you have to look at a hurricane two different ways. And this is like, I don't know if somebody will talk about this. Going with a power company, which I've done, and going with a contractor is probably two different things. You probably get treated a little bit better going with a power company, but with a contractor, you don't know your scale sometimes. Well, back then, now you do. You didn't know your scale, you didn't know the work conditions and stuff like that. But going down to your first time and there's no power, there's no water, there's no gas, there's no food, you're rolling into a town with nothing, with 30, 40, 50 guys going to like a show up that's like a campsite with some trailers and that you sleep in and stuff like that. And they're cooking food, the military's there cooking for you, and it was an eye-opening experience for me. The first one I went to down in Florida. Yeah, my last one I went to was probably quite a while ago. Was Hurricane Sandy out in New Jersey. So that was probably 2012, maybe.
I was in Connecticut for that one.
Yeah, we were in New Jersey. And you want to talk about traffic, go to New Jersey, man. There's some traffic there. But it was a great experience. We were in Princeton, New Jersey, which is, it's halfway between Philadelphia and New York City. So there's a lot of money there. A lot of huge houses. That's where a lot of pharmaceutical companies homes are. So it was a pretty different experience than going to, like, in Hurricane Katrina, we were in Alabama, where it's a little different down there in the woods and stuff like that.
No kidding.
Mississippi. We were in Mississippi, Mississippi.
Same trio.
Yeah.
I always really enjoyed storm work. Guys are kind of indifferent to it. I always really liked the adventure of it. The money was really good as well, and obviously, like, for a lineman to get that kind of a, increase, go work, work 18-hour, 20-hour days, freaking 2 weeks in a row. It's pretty nice for the pocketbook. But I always really liked the adventure of it, whether it was just something that was in your own community, in your own town, or it was, get on a plane and fly to Connecticut, fly to the East Coast, or fly somewhere and drop into this situation. I always liked the adventure of it. The new places, new things, new environment, new challenge, problems to solve, all that kind of thing. I always really enjoyed that.
Yeah, I love going on storm, still go on to this day.
For anyone listening that's into rodeoing or wants to get into it, because I do get quite a few questions on that. What's some advice getting into it? You mentioned practicing a lot, but is there something further to that?
Yeah, and I'm by far not the best rodeo guy. You see some teams from California come in and I'm like in awe of them, and fastest isn't the best. Not screwing up is what you want to do. You don't want to get those dings. You don't want to drop nothing. You want, take your time. But the more you do stuff, the more efficient you're going to get it. You got the gloves on and stuff like that. So just take your time, do it right. Don't worry about the time. They could have half the time, but as soon as they drop one thing, you're already ahead of them.
What's your advice then, coming from a guy that's in the air all the time, for a solid groundman? what are you looking for the solid ground? Anything specific? Any edge there? Or
you gotta have a guy that knows your next move. You know what I mean? If the guy on the ground doesn't know your next move, he can't have it up there before you need it. So that's a big key is, having them know what the fuck's going on. So Climbin For Kids, if you listen to Jason's podcast, was actually started by Jason, I think in 2021. And last year in March, my daughter Juliana was diagnosed with terminal brain cancer. And, as soon as we found out, because I remember being on a rodeo meeting, like a Teams call, and like it was like the next week, I had to resign from the committee and stuff like that. So we started our journey with that. And I'll kind of talk about Climbin For Kids and back up a little bit.
Sure.
I remember Juliana, she always loved going to the rodeo. She loved trading shirts. She loved going to the convention, getting all the stuff, like bags of stuff or like bottle openers and keychains. She loved all that. We loved the convention. And then I remember last year she asked, she goes, "Hey, are we still going to go to the rodeo this year?" Even though she was sick. I said, "Hey, babe, if you want to go, we're going to go." So then I forgot what month it was. Jason texted me. He's like, "Hey, man, I got an idea. Give me a call." So I call him, like, "What's up, man?" He goes, "We're going to raise some money for St. Jude. We're going to call it Climbin For Kids. And I want Juliana to give the check to St. Jude on stage at the rodeo." I was like, that sounds good, man, but I got to talk to her about this. She was 10 years old. This is her, she has to get in front of all these people and stuff like that. And went home, talked to my wife. "Hey, what do you think? What do you think? Should we bring this up? Should we not?" She goes, "It's up to her." So I talked to her. I was like, "Hey, they want to have you give a check to St. Jude." And she was a St. Jude patient at the time. She goes, Yeah. Can we trade t-shirts? Can we go out there? Like, "Yeah, babe, whatever you want."
I get into it online with people about the brotherhood and the trades, because I reference this trade as like really feeling like a brotherhood, sisterhood, whatever hood you want to call it. And I think it is. Like, some of my best friends in life come from this industry. Most of them come from this industry. Most of my really good close friends, some of them I've never even met in person, or if I've met them in person, I've met them 2 or 3 times at the Lineman rodeo, or during my travels, I just happen to be in their area. I'm like, "Hey, coffee, beer, you want to like hook up for 5 minutes to 10 minutes? And we do. A couple of them, one of them, Isaac, like we've talked on the phone hundreds of times. We text all the time. I'd never met him. I was in Southern California. I'm like, "Hey, I'm in your area for a couple of days." He's like, "Come on over. You can stay the night. We gotta," like, that's what I'm talking about with brotherhood, sisterhood. That's my experience. You have a way deeper experience, but like, it's not dead. Like, there's
no
brotherhood's not dead. There's people that argue that online with me though, like it's dead, or you don't know what true brotherhood is. You have to, be a military veteran and go overseas, and like, I understand that form of it. This is my form of it, and it's not dead.
Yeah. Oh no, for sure. It's definitely not dead. I felt it from my union leaders to my company leaders. That's not part of our brotherhood, but like,
it is.
We're a family. We're a utility family. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And sometimes you don't get along with some of your family members, but
100%. I always really loved the International Lineman Rodeo for the fact that it gets the families out. It really brings families out. It helps connect family with this trade and with this craft. And it's not a lot of other jobs out there that are like that. You know what I mean? Like, you're not going to like take your kid to work day. If you're an accountant, it's kind of boring. The kid's just going to be like, "Oh, this is what you actually do for life." Like,
yeah.
But when kids come out and they see what we do, what their moms and dads do, it's pretty special. And That's one thing that the ILR has definitely done very well, is like connected families with the craft and with the trade and the industry is super cool.
It's a trade like no other I can think of. Like, yeah, I really can't think that we do this stuff, because just with the amount of overtime you work with these people and like the storms and, it's great. I love it. It's all I ever wanted to do.
No kidding.
I was a dishwasher at a restaurant before this, I guess.
Well, you always got a job to go back to, right?
Yeah. I do have one request, man. I got to get the rapid fire questions because I've been studying all day.
Oh, yeah. So let's get into it.
I've been listening to 5 podcasts. I was like, what's he going to ask? I was like, okay, I think I'm ready.
Yeah, absolutely. Give me...
If you got time. I don't know if you got time. We've been talking a long time.
100%.
It's easy to talk.
Hey, you know what? I wasn't sure if the rapid fires would be appropriate for this one, so let's do it.
We got pretty deep there, but I think we should end it light like that.
I love it. Okay, we'll do the finish my sentence questions. Let's get it. All right. If I wasn't a lineman, I would be what?
I would be either 2 things. I'd still be in a trade. I think I'd be a heavy equipment operator, even though I signed up when I was 18. They never called me back. Or finance. I really love finance stuff, even though I wasn't good in school, like the stock market and stuff like that. I'm really intrigued by a lot of that stuff. Cool. I like watching that.
So you didn't really dig my accountant remarks.
But I'd have to be like moving around doing it. I couldn't sit at a desk.
Totally. What's the most valuable tool, in your opinion, in a lineman's kit?
Yeah. And this might surprise you. You know what it is? Right here.
Heck yeah.
I'm glad you said that. You could find the tool. You could find a job. You could get an answer to a question at the tip of your fingers. There's always a bigger, better tool out there. But that phone, it's bad some days, but man, you can connect with people. Hey, man, I can't figure this out. Can you help me out? Like, I've been thinking a lot about that after listening to your podcast. Like, what is the tool? Like, I don't think it's a pair of clients. I think it's this phone. That kept on coming to my mind.
Dude,
like,
I'm glad you mentioned it. I don't think people take advantage of it enough. It's even the, like the call a friend thing. Like, don't be afraid to like reach out for help. You got a nasty transformer bank situation or something going on. You got to figure something. Just call your network, figure it out.
Yeah, for sure. Call for help. Always call for more help.
My favorite part about being a lineman is what?
Is going to a job where they've been out of power for a long time and seeing the look on their face when you show up. Like that relief when you show up is something. Even like a big storm, when you roll in and you can fix the problem, like that's something that never gets old. Like just that look on their face when you show up, like we got you. That never gets old. I love that.
If you could change one thing about the industry, what would that be?
Oh man, I haven't been studying this one. I've been thinking about that one. I think getting people together more, because it seems like everything's two-sided now. Like you're either on this side or that side. Whether it's
utility,
something that utility or contractor, or being in Illinois, we don't see much non-union. Illinois is a pretty union state, which is good. But getting on this, even stuff like that, like working together more. Even guys in your own shop. Oh, I don't agree with that, or like, hey, let's talk this out. Let's figure some things out. I think everybody can do a better job at that. Craziest thing you've ever seen on the job? This, I've seen. You see some shit, face to face kind of stuff. But I was on a hurricane in Florida, running out of line, and I turn right. I go and check the transformer. I'm at a nudist colony. What? So everybody's naked, but it's not a good nudist colony. It's a retirement village nudist colony. So it was not. I'm like, oh shit! I think your power's out. I gotta go. So that was a pretty wild story. We were down in Florida and walk into the nudist colony. Did you send the apprentice to tell him their power's back on? No, I think we just assumed it was on and just got the fuck out of there. Best advice I ever received as a lineman? Maybe not even as a lineman, but maybe before I started. My grandpa was a plumber for forever, and I think he always told me to show up early, like be there before. Show up, number one, always show up, then show up early. Which I try to do. I always try to do. Maybe not always, but I think that's something. If you show up for work every day, that's 80% of it. We can figure out the rest. But if you're hit and miss and can't rely on you coming in, then it's not a good path to go on.
All right. If you're liking this content lately, please make sure you like, subscribe, follow, do all those things. It really helps the algorithm, helps get this pushed out to more people. And I appreciate it. Peace.